All right, what's up, everybody? It is time for the Friday Mastermind. For over 6 years now, we have been doing this every Friday at 2 o'clock, where we're bringing on amazing leaders, not just in mortgage, but just people that are amazing leaders in all walks of life. Todd, good to have you here. I think it's been a long time since all three of us have been here with a special guest. Good to see you, bro.
It is great to be here as always. I can think of no better way to finish out my week. And I've been on 2 morning masterminds with real estate agents the last 2 days. And, mindset is the agents just getting crushed. I mean, I've talked to 4 agents in the past 5 days, one who increased his number of nights he worked at the bar, one who I called during his prospecting time. He was driving Instacart. One reached out to say, how do I become a mobile notary? I'm a notary, but I want to get on your list. And then the last one said she's a broker than she's ever been and applying for $20 an hour job. And she's embarrassed after being in real estate for 20 years. And they were hurting in mindset. And when I think mindset, I think of my coach and yours, Dave, Jonathan. So before we bring Jonathan on, I cannot wait to have our mindset shifted, inspired. But we got to bring on the birthday girl, none other than Deborah Bird. Welcome, Miss Bird from Plug and Play SM.
Hello, and happy first day of September.
Right.
It's officially the start of the last month for Q3, guys, until fourth quarter comes. So happy fall. I know we're ready for cooler temperatures here in Texas. It's hot.
Yeah, no doubt. I want to say something before I bring on Jonathan to Deborah. I had left her and her twin sister a message on their birthday saying, you guys are like massive gifts to the mortgage industry. And Deborah, I really meant that from the bottom of my heart. You guys are both real gifts to the industry. And then you're like an incredible gift to this community that I've been at for over 2 decades. And what Todd and I have been doing for 6 years together with this Friday Mastermind, like, thank you and belated happy birthday.
Well, thank you. Denise and I were talking yesterday, and we both said how, you've created such a vessel for us, for all mortgage coaches and, the Dan Kellers and Jeremys and Jonathan, to be able to have a community to speak into and motivate or pour our value. And so thank you for being that vessel to allow us to share and make an impact.
Well,
So
it is a big gift for me. And while everybody that tunes in to the YouTube channel, everybody that shares it, I mean, it wouldn't happen without this big community, but there are certain people that have just shined a bigger light than others and given more value. And you and your sister are like, boom. So thank you for that. Yeah. So guys, we have a special guest who anybody that tunes into this channel, watches YouTube, like, he really needs no introduction because he's active in the group. Well, there's a lot of inspirational messages that get shared on social media. I just feel like Jonathan shares the best ones at the right time. So he's very active in our Facebook group. He's always, willing to come in and just bring the fire. So if you are a new loan officer or you brand new to this community, he is a 12-time Ironman, which that's a big deal. Like, that is not an easy thing to do one of. And he's done 28 consecutive finishes of Boston marathons. So there's a lot of coaches, there's a lot of leaders, there's a lot of performance leaders in the marketplace, but there's not a lot that have that type of backing. Like, just to have completed that many, any marathon, let alone the Boston Marathon, it's just an incredible thing. I know him personally because he is a peak performance coach for me, for Todd, for, I think Sean Benosian's given you permission to share that publicly. And then a lot of other, pro athletes and people that Jonathan doesn't call out at names, but I can't think of a better time in the market, because I'm not going to tell more stories, but it's tough. Like, it's a brutal, market. But I'm also interviewing people that are killing it. I mean, I've interviewed in the past week, Michelle Castle, who's closing over 21 loans, 2 consecutive months. And by the way, the year did not start out that way for her. And then again, now she had some, health issues with her husband, and she had some reasons that she couldn't do the activities that create winning. But as soon as she turned on the winning activities, she's winning. I interviewed Sean Kaplan yesterday, who's closing over 19 loans. and he's doing the winning activities. So there are guys, you can win. Everybody, even if this is your first year in this business, you can win in this market. So Jonathan, why don't you tee it up? I know you wanted to call this the 3 habits of surviving and thriving. I actually wanted to delete surviving and let's just focus on thriving. Like let's rock it out, brother.
Yeah, awesome. So it was shifting from surviving to thriving, but I agree. Let's just go all in on thriving. So a couple of things I just want to point out right out of the gate.
You said it.
And I've mentioned this in each of the times I've been blessed to join you guys, but if you were going to quit, you would already quit. You would already quit. And you go, no, I still might quit. Okay, you can say that for a little bit, but if you were going to quit, you would already quit. And you're in this, I call it the evolving market Ironman. I've done 45 high-level endurance events. Dave mentioned, a bunch of them, but I understand what it feels like when you're just getting knocked around mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally, and you feel like you have nothing left, but you somehow need to muster something out of an empty bucket to bring it for your family, for your team, for your company, for your clients, for your real estate professional partners. The bucket is empty, but you need to pull this off. Now, here's the cool thing. This is one of these windows of your journey that you will never forget in your life. What's your negative voice will go, yeah, Einstein, I'm not going to forget it. It's been a train wreck. I think your positive voice is going to go, that was your moment where you really elevated. In challenging times, expedite growth. Whether we want it or not, they do. This is why I love coaching people like Dave and Todd and pro athletes. I coach 3 of the starting quarterbacks in the NFL. I understand high pressure situations. I understand adversity. The beauty of your current situation is half the people are gone. So if you think in terms of an Ironman, I remember my first Ironman I did in Florida, it was 86 degrees. I didn't have the ability to complain about the heat because I had no reference point. It was my first time ever doing it. And I remember just the whole time thinking, I just need one step in front of the other. And I was very tactical in how I went about those steps to stay in the game. Now, the interesting thing during that Ironman, it had the highest did not finish DNF rate of Ironman up to that point because people were catching a beating. What I did is I just put my head down. At one point on the bike, I actually pulled over and took my camelback off, my 100-ounce camelback, which is super nerdy. You're not supposed to do an Ironman. I handed it to someone at this water stand because I had no reference. All I was trying to do is make sure I was focusing on my next move. As a mortgage professional right now, you have a tremendous opportunity. Half your competitors are gone. And every day you wake up, if you lean in on your controllables, which is really what this call is about, most importantly, our mindset, if you lean in on your controllables and you show up as the most positive person on the Teams call or the Zoom call or in the meeting or on social media, you stand out. You can see a positive, energized, on fire mortgage advisor from about 10 miles away right now. That's a beautiful thing. And it's a tremendous opportunity and it's a controllable. We get to control that. And so I think in terms of when I joined you guys, I'm your peak performance coach for an hour, right? It's like, that's my role, is to equip you with tools and strategies to elevate, yes, to motivate you, but most importantly, to position you to feel like post-call, okay, that was a game-changing call. I now get it. And the most important thing you do is prepare yourself mentally to win. Yes, you need the tools, you need the strategies, all of which, I don't know if I'd term it are spoon-fed to you through the Trust Engine page, but they kind of are, right? Shant was on last week, open playbook. Casey Crawford, open playbook. By the way, both of those rock stars started their companies in 2008. So I think there's a lot of lessons to learn from both of them. Is that a coincidence or is that an opportunity? Depends. Who's at the podium of your mind? Your negative voice or your positive voice? Dave, Deborah, or Todd, you guys want to jump in on any of this that we're kind of launching into?
Let me go first on that because I think every single person here has heard that, focus on the controllables, control what you can control. That probably is not like a new piece of wisdom, but I would just ask everybody and I'll do Jonathan's score on a scale of 1 to 5. Where are you at right now on controlling the controllables? And I'm sure it's going to be a theme throughout this presentation. Also, I just have to call out, I didn't catch that both Shant and Casey both started in 2008. Thank you for calling that out, but it is just a great example that adversity, and scarce resources really requires you to be more creative and more focused on controlling on doing the things that you can control. So anyways, that was powerful. I mean, we could be done right now, and I think everybody got game-changing advice. Todd, anything you want to add?
Well, I mean, control the controllables, right? Turn on the winning activities, you said, Dave. And I mean, I think you all know it, right? I mean, that's the whole premise of what I believe and what I teach with Win by Noon. I mean, a way to control the controllables is to control the environment you're in. Control, you get what you tolerate, right? So if you're going to allow interruptions, if you're going to allow someone to call you today to talk about your fantasy football draft, when you know you're going to be prospecting. The thing I didn't say is that the real estate agent who's leading the call today, he's going to have his best year ever. Like best year ever this year, not by a little bit. He's going to blow it away by 20%. And I said, well, what's the difference? He said, I'm just outworking everyone else. He said, I told everyone this year, you're going to have to work twice as hard to make half as much. But I knew if I worked twice as hard, I could actually make more money and gain market share in this market. And so I just love it, Jonathan. I think that it is such a great time. I actually feel like these next 4 months is an opportunity for you all to dominate. And you just have to choose that you want to do it, right? If you see it, you can be it. So what do you think, Deborah?
When you said game-changing call, it made me think of assessing how are you showing up for your loan officer, like your agent calls, but also your clients who may need that energy poured into them because they could be struggling. We know that right now they have the most amount of credit card debt that they've ever had and the least amount of savings. And so are you being that North Star or that lighthouse for them? And that's for every single phone call, every single video you post on social media. Where is your energy and are you being that light? Because how you show up and that vibe can be attractive, and it may be the very light that people need in what could be a very dark place from just a customer standpoint. And I also love your shirt, Jonathan. It says be the exception. And to your point, Todd, with what you just shared, this could be your best year ever. You could be the exception when the market is down and you see all the stats and it's doom and gloom. It's like, why not be the exception? So I love your shirt, Jonathan.
Awesome. I'm going to piggyback on what you just shared, Deborah, which is my question to the audience is, if you weren't you and you saw a text or an email come up or a voicemail, what are you thinking? Are you thinking like, it's, I don't like using my first name, so it's Pete? Or are you like, oh, cool. Like I can honestly say, and it would be, my coaching approach is very direct, respectful, but direct. Whenever I see anything from Todd or Dave or Deborah on social, I immediately like, oh, cool. It's Deborah or it's Dave or it's Todd. What do you think? And that is something we can control. But if you're someone who's like, it's Pete, that's a big business opportunity. Notice I didn't use the word problem. I said opportunity. Because here's the deal. We can't change the first 8 months. And you go, oh, no, I did all this stuff wrong. Okay, welcome to the I'm Human Club. We all had grand plans back in January. We didn't nail everything. Okay, so what are we going to do about it? That's the question. It's not, how's the game gone so far? It's what are we going to do over Q4? Because this may sound cheesy, but I believe it's spot on. This can be the best year of your life. Yes, I just said that. But it's not going to be if you keep doing what you've done for the first 8 months. So the question is, what are we going to change? And I don't mean like go to the cupboard and clear everything out. But we got to make some changes. We got to make some adjustments. We got to pay some fees. By the way, I'm not saying necessarily deploying of your capital. My language on fees, and Dave and Todd get this from coaching. Fees are time, energy, focus, and follow through. What are the fees you're going to pay? And a lot of times, the negative voice says, "I don't want to do that." It's like world-class people do it anyway. I listened to Casey Crawford's brilliant 52-minute interview with Dave and Kristen. I think it was from last week. This morning. And to be candid, my negative voice is kind of whiny about it. Like, no, we got a bunch of other stuff we're doing. We just finished the morning routine. I'm like, Dave Savage, who is a close friend of mine, and an amazing human being, obviously, and a brilliant businessman, and one of my clients suggests I watch it. So I'm going to watch it. And it was an incredible investment in 52 minutes. But my negative voice was pushing back on it. And you know what I did? I pushed play. And that's what we need to do. Discomfort is part of the fees we must pay to elevate. That's not my language, whatever. I'm not like, listen to this great quote, but it is. We need to get comfortable being uncomfortable, which is doing things that other people be like, I wouldn't do that. Sorry to point this out. You can probably see it on me. I just got back. I did my push-up and sit-up routine. Then I crushed a 6-mile run along the water. I came back. I ate a bar. I, switch shirts, try to clean myself off, and boom, here I am. Why? Because you're not here. Oh, wow, does he look? Did he even shave? What's the deal? Is he like, no, energy, positivity, vibe. I cannot wait to be hanging out with you guys so I can bring it. I could have skipped the workout. I already felt awesome, but I wanted to go pay the fees so I can show up. And so this all relates to what Deborah mentioned, which is, how do you show up? That's a controllable. And when we realize that and we own that, we can step into it. And like, I'm super competitive. You probably picked that up already. I coach these amazing athletes, rock star executives, world-class people that are on all different types of stages and fields. And you should be licking your chops as a mortgage advisor right now, because the water is stormy, the winds have come in, all your competitors are whining and complaining and on posts, blah, blah, blah. And great. Come in as the positive one, the energized one, the hero. Let me wear the VP of business development hat for my real estate professional partners. Don't tell them that because it's creepy, obviously, but show up that way. But that you're not going to do what you haven't earned the ability to do. And what I mean by that is you can't give away what you don't have. If you don't have extra energy, you're not up early watching the Casey Crawford interview. You're not watching Sean's interview from last week. You're not leaning in on the 10X program that Dave launched. You're just you don't have the energy. You're just trying to get through. You guys want to jump in on any of that before we kind of get into the 3 key moves?
Todd, you want to go first? I got a couple thoughts, but what do you thought?
Well, I mean, I think, again, there's a lot of thought there, right? I mean, to me, the one that hit me the most was that what I did the last 8 months isn't going to necessarily get me to my best year. And what are you going to change? And so I just wrote down, I've got a list of things for when I'm doing my on time, my thinking time. And that question I just wrote down for myself is what I'm going to change. So I would just challenge you to do the same. Like, what is it that you need to do differently for the next 4 months so that we don't get to the end of this quarter with 3 months left and then you're still not going the direction you need to go?
Well, Q4 is my favorite quarter because it's also the time of year where it makes it easy to reach out to people. We have holidays coming up, you have Halloween, Thanksgiving. So it's always an easy way to circle back around with critical relationships. But also I wrote down discomfort is the fees we must pay for success. And I thought about I don't know if you guys have ever heard the lobster story about how lobsters grow, but they're actually very squishy. And so they hide under a rock while they shed their shell. And the only way that they know it's time to grow and it's time for a new shell is because it's uncomfortable. And so they have to get uncomfortable. Then they go hide under a rock, they shed their shell and they get a new shell. But if they had discomfort and just immediately went to a doctor and tried to get those symptoms patched up and not feel the uncomfortableness, then they would never grow. So what things do we need to change in order moving forward, which may be uncomfortable for us, but it will be the portal of growth? Are you willing to pay that fee for success?
Yeah. And I just can't let this opportunity go by that the future of mortgage, like I say it all the time, this is not another year in mortgage. 63% of people with home loans, the rate starts with 2 or 3%. They're never going to be 2 or 3% again. And so the skill going forward is to help borrowers see what is unseen to them. Like they are not capable of, oh, you know what? I should still move up and give up that 2%. And, because look at my net worth in 10 years. So being skilled at helping consumers, helping realtors see what is unseen to them, being an advisor, like, guys, this is the time to do that. And, one of the reasons why, and Jonathan, you called it out, the MortgageCoach 10X program, why I am just so obsessed, for the entire month of August, every Tuesday at 9:00, we're training on how to be an advisor. I decided to keep it going for the month of September. Every single Tuesday at 9:00, we're training. And then I want to remind you guys, you have a website for it. It's called the MortgageCoach 10X website. Go to mortgagecoach.com/10X. I'm doing that because there's never been a better time for loan officers to go from I'm a loan officer to I'm an advisor. And trust me, I get it. Like going from playing checkers and here's a fee worksheet to having a much more strategic conversation, it is hard. the first time you do it. It's hard the first 20 times you do it. But that's just one example of something that if you're not an advisor, and by the way, are you a level 5 advisor? Like the people I interview, these are all level 5. They kill it with video. They kill it with strategy. They have advice. Or are you like level 2 or 3? Like the goal is becoming level 5 at being an advisor. So I just want to call out and also acknowledge, I get it's uncomfortable, it's hard, but if there were 2 things that I would get everyone on this call right now to focus on in terms of I'm going to do it until I'm great at it, first and foremost, it's prospecting. And, because if you don't prospect and you don't get out there and talk to people and sell, you're not going to have anybody to give advice to. And number 2, it's advice. So one last question before I kick it back to Jonathan. Anyone that's watching this, and I know there's more than just those 2, but what is the thing that's most uncomfortable to you that if you did it, it would create a breakthrough, it would create more results? Put that in chat. I would love to get some folks, and even if you're watching this on our YouTube channel, put that in chat. Like, what are the things that are most uncomfortable, but because you're not doing them, you're not having the success you want? And cold plunge. So Deborah Bird got it started with cold plunge. Jonathan, back to you, brother.
I want to piggyback off that, Dave, which is question for the audience. When's the last time you did something great in your life without being uncomfortable? Think about it. When is the last time in your life, personally or professionally, you did something meaningful without being uncomfortable? The answer is never. So the discomfort flag going, oh, that's kind of uncomfortable. I don't know, the mortgage coach thing, it seems complex. It's not, by the way. Now, I put it this way. If I was like, I'll give you $100,000 for your favorite charity at 5 p.m. tonight, if you're at least level 1 mortgage advisor by 5 o'clock Eastern. Oh, I got a busy schedule. Okay, do you want to make $100,000 for the Dana-Farber Cancer Institute? Well, yes. Okay, call me at 5. You do it because you're forced to at that point. So discomfort those are flags. Those are things you should run to. Growth, opportunity. Yeah, come over here. Real quick, I'll just mention. So I coach 4 of Microsoft's top leadership team members. I don't coach their CEO, but I coach 4 other leaders. I've been blessed to speak at the leadership retreat for Microsoft the last 2 summers. It'll be 3 years. They've already invited me back for next summer. Huge honor. While there, they had a leader, the CEO of one of their strategic accounts, which is an account they do $1 billion in combined revenue with. They had that leader on. He was on Teams. And he described what I think is completely applicable to the mortgage industry. He said, when we think in terms of partnerships, so this Microsoft or another company, there's 3 levels. And the first level is a vendor. That's just someone who provides whatever, the software, the service, or whatever. And then the level above vendor is a partner. And we do not want relationships with vendors. We want partnerships. Partnerships look out for each other. That's another tier above, obviously, just here's your product or service. The reason I bring this up, though, is Peak Performance Coach is the 3rd tier, which is, this is the exact words of the CEO of a multi-billion-dollar corporation. He said, we are looking for trusted advisors. I didn't do some weird LinkedIn look to be like, does this guy know Dave Savage? Because that's Dave Savage's language. He said, we want to partner with companies that want to be trusted advisors. And then he articulated what a trusted advisor is to him. It's someone that perpetually is looking out for the best interests. I won't use the name of the company for obvious reasons, for X companies, what we're trying to do business-wise, what we're trying to do as far as our brand, what we're trying to do everything. So the question back to you as your peak performance coach, again, I'm not part of Trust Engine. I'm not, Dave didn't say, hey, could you promote my thing? That's not how he operates. He just serves and I just serve. There's no hidden agenda here. But the question is, are you a trusted advisor? Are you a mortgage advisor? Because here's the cool thing. Dave mentioned, whether we're talking Jeremy or Denise or all these other rock stars, it's easy to put those people on a pedestal, but at some point they didn't know what they were doing. And that's not a jab at them. They didn't, like all of us, right? But they did the work. They leaned in on the discomfort. They learned the tools. And the Jeremys and the Denises and the Todds of the world, they cannot wait to sit down with a real estate professional or a family, because They, one, love what they do. Two, they're super prepared. Three, they're a level 5 advisor, or they're at least a mortgage advisor. They know no one in the marketplace is going to bring what I'm going to bring to this family or this real estate professional. And that is what confidence is. Confidence is nothing more than a high level of preparation. Whether you're talking pro athletes, mortgage professionals, confidence is strictly an indication of major preparation. And if you're prepared and you're a mortgage advisor, you cannot wait. And you're not arrogant, which is annoying, but you are confident. You cannot wait. Knock, knock. Hey, the Smiths are in the conference room. You're going to go in there and you're going to earn the opportunity to serve. You're not going to be fidgety, kind of pulling some spreadsheet thing out. You're going to be like, bam, bam, bam. And you know what they're thinking? This lady's locked and loaded. She's nice, super cool. She didn't even bring up mortgage stuff for like 15 minutes. She's talking about her kids. Her eye contact was impeccable. She was acting like we're the only people on the planet. When she started talking about this MortgageCoach tool, I was like, that is night and day. Like, I would hang out with that lady, never mind partner with her on the biggest financial decision of my life. Who do you think they're going with? They're in with Denise. Sorry, I'm on my pedestal, guys, but think about this. That is there for the taking. That is a controllable, but you got to do the work. You got to lean in. And not only is MortgageCoach available, but Dave and his team are spoon feeding you this 10X program to expedite the process of coming up to speed on this world-class tool. And excuse my candor because I'm direct but respectful, but if you're not doing it, it's your problem if things aren't catching, because someone is earning the opportunity to serve in your space. And I would push you as your peak performance coach to be like, you know what? I'm not going to sit around and watch other people win. This is why I don't watch a ton of like stuff on TV. I don't want to watch other people win. I want to win myself. But you've got to lean on this idea of becoming a trusted advisor, just like was explained at the Microsoft Leadership Retreat. You can be a vendor. There's plenty of them. You can be a partner, but you can be a trusted advisor. You guys want to add anything to that?
Can I just say, and I'm speaking to my clients right now, sometimes they tell me, because every Tuesday, it's a standard that they do a TCA Tuesday. And I even give them an example every week of here's a TCA that you could use in social media as the example. And sometimes they say, oh, I've signed up for that, or my company has it, but I haven't, don't quite understand how to build one yet. And it's uncomfortable learning new things sometimes. To slow down so that you can then speed up is essential. So this may be you. If you're hearing this, your company may have new tools or tech that you just haven't quite made it a priority to learn how to use them and leverage them in your own system and current workflow. That may be the very uncomfortableness that you need to address head on so that you can thrive in this market and in the markets of the future. Because to what Jonathan just said, are you a vendor, a partner, or a trusted advisor? If you are not creating content or displaying options in a method that's easy to understand for the common person, they're likely not going to follow you. So I just press upon all of you and put an exclamation point that dive into the technology, get better, take the trainings. The MortgageCoach has trainings every single day that you can go in and learn how to build out your TCAs if you need to. And every Tuesday I provide one for you. So there you go.
Well, it's funny
anything you want to add?
Yeah, I mean, in the mastermind I was on yesterday, with Eric Daniels leads it. I guess you weren't here, Dave. I interviewed him. He's one of the realtors I interviewed on this upcoming changes in their commission, and there's a lot of fear in the real estate industry about that potential change. But he asked me yesterday, Todd, if you were starting over today, like what advice would you give to yourself, knowing what you know now 20 years later? And I said, gosh, it's so weird. I got so lucky that on my first day of the business, I bought MortgageCoach. I'd never done a loan. I had never made $1. And I bought it. And then really the mentors that I found at that time through technology, we didn't have the YouTube channel. And I said, you know what, I would get on that YouTube channel. I would start watching the greats. I would start learning. And then you have to figure out how to be uncomfortable, be comfortable being uncomfortable. Jonathan said it, the conversations that I'm having with realtors, it's uncomfortable for me when they're telling me that they're flat broke and that they're going out and trying to get a $20 an hour job, and how that makes them want to throw up when they say it. But I'm getting uncomfortable to help them get vulnerable so that I can figure out then how to give them the best advice going forward. And so when I heard Jonathan say that, I thought, okay, you know what? I'm their trusted advisor, or they wouldn't have that conversation. So I would encourage you all, there's people out there that are hurting, and then they need to hear this message. You need to tell them what Jonathan said to us today about the next 4 months and how we can still make it the best year ever, because they need to hear it, but ultimately they're not here. So it's your job to help bring it to them.
Yeah. And I guess the only thing I would add on to it is that the advisor, the trusted advisor that Jonathan calls out, has a different job. Like their day-to-day experience in the mortgage industry is different. And by the way, it goes from being transactional to transformational. And when you're delivering a transformational experience to a consumer, it's a more fun job. It's a more energizing job. You become a more confident human being, and you also become a purpose-driven person. Like Jeremy Forcier, everybody talks about how like his energy, his humor, what amazing is he's got a different job than most loan officers, because he's having different conversations. I mean, he's a grand master advisor. And so I just push folks in a time when it's difficult, you will be transformational for the job that you have if you become a grand master level 5 leader. And I know I'm Mr. Mortgage Coach saying all that, but I've seen it. What I have seen in the story after story that I've been through with different top producers that have gone from transactional to transformational and do it at the highest level, like it's powerful. And this is a market that it's the difference between struggling and thriving. Back to you, Jonathan.
Awesome. I'll just add one more thing, and then we'll finally go through. Don't worry, we won't wait until there's 9 minutes left to go through the 3 key moves to thrive. But I'll just say to you, mindset is everything. Back to the Ironman analogy. We don't know where in the Ironman marathon you guys are of this evolving market Ironman, but if I can serve you correctly as your peak performance coach, I can alter your state. You still might feel like you're going to get sick. Your legs still might be killing you. You might be questioning, oh man, why did I sign up for this thing? But at that point, something's changed. And there's a certain point in Ironman, and I'll just point this out. Same thing with the Boston Marathon. And I may get emotional sharing this. It's this moment where you're like, I got it. Oh my gosh, I'm going to pull this thing off. I got it. And I would invite you to own the I've got it already, which you go, no, I'm not there. If you're going to quit, you were to quit. And there's something powerful around it. And if you need to, look at your cutie kids. Look at your wife. Look at your team. Look at the real reason you are fighting, why you show up, why you're trying to keep doing this thing. Why? Because there's a certain amount of pride around you being the leader of that family, of that team. And when you can go there mentally, you can put one foot in front of the other. You don't know where the Ironman banner is. And I think it's probably a good idea not to worry about where that is. It's why the Casey Crawfords and the Sean Panosians of the world, you couldn't pin them down. They're big dudes. I wouldn't advise that anyway, but you probably couldn't pin them down and get an answer out of them of when do you think this is going to end? They don't think that way. They're too busy making changes, innovating, altering the mindset of themselves, their team, the tools, the strategies, mortgage coach, everything else. They're too busy optimizing to worry about whether the safe water is going to come in. Does that make sense, you guys? In the first key tip I'm going to mention, I'll lead into this, right? Out of these 3 key moves to thrive. The first thing is to participate in your own rescue. Participate in your own rescue. And that's not my language, by the way. There's a gentleman coming to an event I'm having at our Vermont property next week. And I asked him, I said, what's the most important thing you've ever learned in your life? And that was his answer. Participate in your own rescue. And I said, who taught you that? And he said, a guide on a whitewater rafting trip. He said, if you fall in and you don't participate in your own rescue, you're going to drown today. And he goes, it wasn't a comfortable delivery. He literally said to us, you could drown today on this river if you don't participate in your own rescue. I'm here as your peak performance coach, not to shame you, judge you, oh my gosh, you slacker, but I'm kind of nudging you going, you cannot sit there in the raft. And part of this idea of participating in your own rescue is you need to put the binoculars down. And I will candidly say to you, a bunch of you are handing binoculars back and forth to each other. Hey, Deborah, have you seen the low interest boat? And no, I don't see it. Okay, hey, Todd, do you see the higher inventory boat? And you're sitting there in your raft taking on water. And as your peak performance coach, I'll just say to you, it's time to take the binoculars, throw them in the water, and start figuring out how you're going to optimize this raft, how you're going to get through these stormy waters, because no one's coming to save you. And I don't mean that to be a downer, but there's a bunch of you that are getting very alarmingly close to a ledge. And there's people that are trying to have your back at the company, and we got to keep them on or her on. And at some point, we need to step up. And I believe business is the most competitive sport on the planet. And right now, your industry, it's probably the most competitive industry in the sports world of business right now. And I don't mean that, actually, I do mean that as candid as it sounds. You've got to participate in your own rescue. And a big part of that is your energy, your vibe, your habits. Are you watching videos? Are you leveling up as far as becoming a mortgage advisor? Are you controlling things? I won't get into the math. I'll do the 30-second version. We have about 75 hours a week of non-sleep, non-work time. We do. We take 168 hours. I call it the power 75. If you take nothing out of our hour today, take this. I'm going to spend 60 seconds on it. Take 168 minus 49. Right? You guys are mortgage advisors. So the answer is 119, round it to 120, which you're a perfectionist. If you're a perfectionist, it'll irritate you, but round it anyway, 120. And then subtract 45. By the way, the 49 is 7 hours of sleep, seven days a week. It might be more, it might be less, whatever. Round it up, round it down. Then you take 120 minus 45, 5 9-hour work days, and you have 75 hours a week of non-sleep, non-work time. So the question is, if you look at people that are trouncing it, whether you're talking pro athletes, entrepreneurs, mortgage advisors, moms, I think being a mom is the hardest job on the planet. It doesn't matter what playing field you're on. The people that are cranking it, they are guarded about their time and energy allocations. They own that 75 hours. It doesn't mean every minute is optimized, but they know what's going on. They're not messing around on Facebook. They're not watching the Netflix. Oh, I binge watched the Netflix thing. They're like, one of my things is I don't do any text banter with anyone. And I tell my friends that. Like, if you tell me, oh, the Patriots, blah, 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 I literally won't reply. And you can be like, that's kind of snobby. That's okay. That's one of my things. I don't waste any time doing text banter with anyone. I optimize. I know what's going on in my 75 hours. If you are falling for it from your negative voice and have for the first 8 months, I'm calling out right now, saying you don't have time to exercise, to absorb the videos on the Trust Engine YouTube page, to level up on your advisors, learn the tools, figure out social media. If you can't do that stuff, to say that you don't have time is a flat out lie. And if this irritates you, good. But here's the thing. You're actually not mad at me, and you shouldn't be mad at yourself. You should be mad at your negative voice who has fed you that lie. Anything you guys want to add to that? And I'll stop.
I just, that term, the mortgage Iron Man, like we're all running in a mortgage Iron Man. I first heard that, I don't know, maybe it was a week ago from you on Facebook. And I was just listening to you and thinking what a gift it is to have you in our community. Also, I was also thinking about how you show up on Facebook, which is social media. And Jonathan is positivity. He is just always creating that, triggering the positive voice. So my push to everyone is if you are on Facebook, which a lot of us are, myself included. I mean, I do discipline myself. So I'm there community building, adding value at scale to our industry. But make sure you're turning to Jonathan. If you're not already following him personally on Facebook, like guys, if there's one thing you can multitask and do right now, follow Jonathan Roche. And for those of you that are in our Trust Engine productivity community, when he puts something in there, it's positivity. So dude, you're on fire. I've heard that 75 hours before, but I heard it differently just now. So thank you for that. Todd, anything you want to add before Jonathan drills down? Oh, did you want to say something, Jonathan? Oh, Todd, let's go real quick, guys, so Jonathan can unpack the core three.
Quick tip, exercise, right? I mentioned that I walked while I was doing these 2 Zoom webinars with these realtors, and I wanted to make sure I got in my exercise today. And my negative voice was telling me I loved doing that when I was in California this summer because I had to wear a sweatshirt every morning. It was so cool. And now I'm in Arizona. I did an hour yesterday in 94 degrees while I was on the Zoom with the realtors. The other part, I was super present, right? I couldn't multitask because I'm holding my phone while I'm walking. I'm listening on Zoom. And so those of you who are watching this, you know what? Yeah, it's hard because I got a page and a half of notes, but you know, why aren't you walking and exercising now? If that's your excuse, you don't have time, do that. If you're listening to this on YouTube, you know, are you sitting on your bed at home or are you getting out there and walking? So just think about what is you're currently doing that you could actually maybe move your body while you're doing. And I would say calling is that thing too. I got some of my best calls doing 2-hour beach walks when I was in California this summer, calling realtors, because guess what? I had nothing else to do. I couldn't be distracted while I was out there walking. So I'm looking forward to hearing number 2, Jonathan, unless you want to jump in real quick, Deborah.
I got to
I
add
just
one.
want to,
Oh,
go ahead.
Deborah, your turn.
You know, I hear quite often the whole time excuse. And so for those who have an iPhone, I'll go through this really quickly and you can just go back and rewatch it. But if you go to your settings on your iPhone, don't do this with your spouse or your kids. It may cause a fight, but click on settings. And then I want you to click on the battery icon. It's a little green icon. When you do that, you'll see there's 2 charts. I want you to tap on where it says last 10 days. And right below the 2 graphs, it actually shows you your average active screen time on your phone. And it will even tell you your top 3 apps. It tells you an activity by percentage. And I have a lot of people that tell me, I just don't have time for social media. And I tell them, okay, let's see where your time is going. And we do this with their phone. And sure enough, at least one social platform is always in the top 3. And so I tell them what you're allowing is you're allowing social to use you instead of you using it. You're a consumer, not a producer. And so again, you can use social for good based off what you consume and based off what you produce. So just use this as a way to kind of call you out on your own BS. If you're one of those that say, I just don't have time, then spot check, where's your time going?
Hey, so 2 quick hits and then Jonathan will let you really focus on these 3 things. One, there's also on that same screen, there's something that says screen time. And I actually limit myself to 15 minutes of Instagram and Facebook. So like it will, when I hit 15 minutes, little thing will come off and I could add 5 more minutes. I can extend it for the day, but it turns me off. So I recommend you do what Deborah said. And then also on that same setting screen, learn how to use the screen time setting feature. It's powerful. I did want to, when Todd threw in the ideas to walk during meetings, I want you, I've been walking every chance I get. When I go to events every morning at 7 o'clock, I'm trying to have a walking meeting with a prospect or a customer. So I just want to push every mortgage professional. You have some realtors that you have great relationships with, some financial planners. Let's have more walking meetings. So Jonathan, you got a little over 15 minutes left, and let's let you just rock out whatever it is you need to make sure you share during this session.
Okay, awesome. I'm gonna throw one more thing real quick on this, which is everything counts. Which I know you're like, wow, Einstein, deep thoughts, but everything counts and it all adds up. And so I'm the master of, I call them random acts of fitness. I know it's a nerdy name, but random acts of fitness. It's why I'm standing up. I have no recollection of the last time I did a Zoom or a Teams call sitting at my desk. Of course, I have this weird box thing it's on, whatever, don't judge that, but I'm standing up. Am I getting a ton of steps? No, but if you see, sometimes if I move like that, I'm kicking my knees up behind you. Maybe you didn't catch it, maybe you did. But this morning, while I consumed Casey's video, 52 minutes, I washed windows, which I'm not sweating or anything, but now it looks awesome. My wife and my cutie kids come out and everything. And they're not like, wow, Dad, the windows look awesome. Well, everything counts. What are the windows like in your office? If they're clear and you're looking at your backyard, or you're looking at whatever, that's a different, and you go, is that a huge thing? No, but that on top of walking during your calls, that on top of washing windows while you consume the brilliant videos. Because a lot of times we go, I don't have the 52 minutes. You do if you multitask and you're still making sure you absorb the brilliance, but you're getting something done. Everything counts. I talked to a mortgage professional yesterday. He's at 78 pounds down. He came up to my booth at Sales Mastery 3 years ago. And I kid you not, obviously he's nailed a bunch of things. His big game changer, the big game changer was for him, which is a lot. So I'm not saying you have to do this, 15,000 steps a day. That's a big ask, by the way. I would probably invite you to go 8, do 8 for a couple of weeks. If you can nail that, you go to 10. And you go, I'm not doing that. I need to do workouts. That is a workout. You're walking 8,000 steps or 10,000 steps. It all counts. All right. You know the gift of the gab. So let's go to number 2. So number 1 is participate in your own rescue. Right? We covered that one. Number 2 is marginalize stress. You can use the word control if you want, whatever. We've got to play offense when it comes to stress. People are super passive when it comes to stress. They're like, oh man, I'm super stressed. Everyone's stressed in your space right now. The people that are showing up in a positive, energized, on fire way, I'm not talking about they're pretending to be Tony Robbins, by the way. They're being their best version of themselves. The people that are doing that are marginalizing stress through some key moves. So I'll just share a couple. By the way, I have a document. I think there's 9 or 11 key ways to fend off stress. And there's a 4-step way to work through stress as it plays out. I'll post that. I'm not good at multitasking, obviously, while I'm covering stuff as well. But after the call, I'll post that on the Trust Engine page on Facebook. I'll also put it as a reply on YouTube. Any of you guys watching this on recording, that document. But let's just go through 3. So the first one is sweat. Sweat. Endorphins, dopamine, positivity. This is why when we say to your spouse, I can't even say it without laughing. When you say to your spouse or your partner, hey, I'm going to go do a workout. Do you ever get that response? They're like, awesome. And you're kind of like, why is she so happy about that? Because she likes the happy version of us, not the grumpy version or the mediocre version. She likes the happy, or he likes the happy version. Because they know when you come back, you're going to be like, hey, what's going on? What can I help out with? It's like, oh, energized, beats back or whatever. Oh my gosh. The number one way to fight off stress is exercise, is sweat. Because endorphins and dopamine are positive chemicals that flow in your brain when you sweat. That's why I feel awesome right now. I already felt pre-workout awesome before I went for my run, but now I couldn't even feel any better because I was dripping sweat, running, get back, hang out with you guys. Okay, cool. This is gonna be awesome. But that is the best way to fight off stress. That's number 1. Number 2 is gratitude. Again, I'm just giving you 3 ways to marginalize stress. Number 1 is sweat, parentheses workouts. Number 2 is gratitude. When you can shift to focusing on what's right versus what's wrong, everything changes. It's the Wayne Dyer quote. I've talked about it before when I've been on with you guys. Wayne Dyer quote: when we change the way we look at things, the things we look at change. It's a simple quote, but it's awesome. When we change the way we look at things, the things we look at change. This is the whole, I get to make the calls, I don't have to. I get to exercise, I don't have to. It's why I say to myself over and over again every year on the Boston Marathon, use your gift, use your gift. And I don't mean gift like I'm some Olympic runner, rah, rah, look at me. No, man, can you believe it? I get to do this again. This is insane. And more importantly, I get to do it in memory of my beautiful mom to raise funds for the fight against cancer. Who gets to do that? I do. So I am the most grateful person probably in the Boston Marathon out of 28,000 people. Gratitude completely alters your chemistry and fends off stress. It's very difficult to be in a high gratitude state and be freaky stressed. They have like an inverse relationship, right? Gratitude goes up, stress goes down. You can do it sitting at a desk. Nothing's changed, right? Oh, no. Oh gosh. In your negative voice, can we go over the numbers again so we can freak out? No, I'm too busy focusing on my beautiful daughter or my rock star wife or partner, whoever you travel with. Think of them. My late mom was a genius, and I won't go into, I have the longer story. I'll keep it short for time's sake, but my mom, I had her for 12 years. She was an incredible, incredible mom. And one of the things she was a master at was gratitude. Dory Roche, she used to say, all you need is 4 things for a remarkable life. That's it, 4 things. Number 1, someone to love. Number 2, your health. Number 3, roof over your head. Number 4, food in the fridge. Now our negative voice is like, no, I need the whatever. Someone to love, your health, roof over your head, food in the fridge. And if you can alter that and focus on that, your gratitude will go up and you're like, yeah, cool. It doesn't mean you're not in a challenging window. We've all been in there. You're a mortgage professional. Right now, you are in an Ironman catching a beating and you're trying to figure out how to avoid throwing up and how to figure out, take the next step. I'm not a fool. So this isn't the rah-rah window of life, but if we could slow down just enough to go, oh man, all right, cool. I've got these 4. That is a game changer. And then the third thing I'll mention is positive content. Positive content is the opposite of news. If you want to be in a bad state, watch the news. You don't need to watch it. No, I need to know what's going on with the rates or whatever. Okay, read it. Whatever you trust, whatever that thing is, read it. Do not consume this rah, the world's ending messaging we get from news. I don't know what's going on with anything. It's called like chosen cluelessness is the term I use for it. Chosen cluelessness. Hey, you're like, wow, I should ask Jonathan about the blah, blah, blah. I don't know about anything that's going on with anything unless my beautiful wife or my amazing mother-in-law mention it. So that's it. I don't know. And you go, you should know. Nope. It doesn't position me to serve my amazing family and my rock star clients and you guys and anyone else I'm blessed to journey with any better. I don't go, hey, did you hear what happened? There was some blah, blah, blah. I don't do it. But I do the opposite, which is consume positive content. So again, I've mentioned it too many times with the Casey Crawford, 52 minutes, that's positive content. All the videos that Dave does and you guys, the three of you do on Trust Engine, positive content. There's a video, a 13-minute video I'm going to send out to all my plus level clients, including Dave and Todd. They'll get it tomorrow morning. I watched it 3 times yesterday. That's 39 minutes. I've watched it twice today. That's 26 minutes. So before I've joined you, and I don't mean this like this, but stay with me because your negative voice is like, I don't like that. No, your positive voice, by the way, our positive voices are inspired by people that are getting after it. And our negative voices are jealous. Our negative voice goes, I don't like Deborah. She's too happy, or she's pretty, or she has a nice, her hair is always perfect, blah, blah. It's not, she's a human, but our negative voice loves to like, positive voice, like, I want to be like him. I want to be like her. And so I would just invite you to realize today already, I took in 52 minutes of Casey Crawford's brilliance, layered on top of that 26 minutes, right? So we're at an hour and 18 minutes of positive content. Throw on the push-up and sit-up routine, throw on a 6-mile run, which I'm not advocating. You guys got to do this, you got to do that. Doesn't matter. 5 or 10 minutes can alter your state through the exercise and positive content. But positive content is a game changer. The people that are on fire, you take 1,000 energized, positive, most positive person in the room or on the Zoom call or Teams or whatever. One of them came out of their mom. Nice, I'm alive. This is an awesome life. And he just was wired from second one. The other 999 of us earn this authentic, real energy and optimism and hope through our habits when the lights are off. You don't see it. Oh, he's getting up early, he's doing that, consuming the video, blah, blah. Positive content is an absolute game changer as far as really controlling and marginalizing stress. You guys want to add anything? Those are the 3 I'm going to cover, and then I'll fire that document out before we go to number 3.
I don't know. I just think positive content is like number one, like if you are disciplining yourself to be in the positive voice, living in the game, not the gap, everything else falls into place. You agree with that, Jonathan? You're like more likely to sweat. You're more likely to do things that are hard to do than if you're not doing that. Anybody else want to say anything before Jonathan closes us out?
I was just going to add, for me too, it's giving. Like when we can over give or over deliver, I get, as long as your motive is pure and it's truly to give and not a trade, which the old me used to get resentful because I feel like I would give, and then sometimes I would be expecting in return. So I had to learn that. But when over giving and making someone's day or pouring into them when they were hopeless and giving them just an ounce of hope makes me feel fantastic.
All right, let's do number 3, Jonathan.
So number 3,
yeah.
So the third tip for thriving, I'll cover real quick. I covered this a couple months ago, but I've altered it a little bit, so stay with me. By the way, I should have mentioned this at the beginning of the coaching call, which is, it's not, have I heard it? It's not, did I know that? It's, am I doing it? Because a lot of times they're like, oh yeah, I've heard that. Okay, what's the new stuff? It's like, forget the new stuff. It's not, have I heard it? It's not, do I know it? It's, am I doing it? So this last one is know your real competitors. And again, we covered this like 3 or 4 months ago, but stay antenna up and stay focused on this because it's super important. We think our competitors are other mortgage professionals. But that is so far down the list. If that's really where your head is, you are in trouble and you don't even know it. And I don't mean that rudely, but I do mean it that bluntly. Your top competitor is your negative voice. That's it. Your negative voice, that inner critic. We all have one. People that are struggling, their negative voice is a lion and their positive voice is a mouse. People that are thriving have flipped that. Positive voice is the lion, negative voice is a little annoying mouse. Yeah, I get, thanks for the input, bye. That's a game changer. First one is negative voice. Second top competitor is your prior self. Are you a better version than who you used to be? You don't need to be completely alter. Oh man, I'm gonna change everything. But you gotta make some changes. And if you're not, you are actually who you used to be, and you need to own that. And it should, I'm not trying to shame you guys, so kind of be embarrassed that like, I'm the exact same person I was in January. That's not good. I know the whole point of absorbing this is to someone to nudge you and go, he's right, I gotta go. This is why I love coaching people. I love coaching anyone, particularly those that have not been tested externally. Yes, I just said that. Success robs us of growth because no one's going, hey, Dave, you gotta show up a little better. Or, hey, Todd, you gotta elevate here. That's my role when I coach, right? I know there's another level of you in there. We gotta go get him or her out. And I'm the guide to get there. And so number 2 is your prior self. Number 3, and this is new since we connected, is your cell phone. And no, I did not cue this up with Deborah, which was a good lead in earlier, right? Your cell phone. And there's so many things that a cell phone robs us of from an attention in a cognitive bandwidth in a relationship standpoint. And you're talking with your spouse and you're doing little drive-bys on the phone. Oh, sorry, honey, what was that? No, the cell phone. We've got to use it for the positive things, as Deborah articulated, and then minimize or marginalize it for the non-positive things. And world-class people that are trouncing it, they're very tactical about how they use that thing. Number 4 is your TV. Parentheses, Netflix, Disney Plus, everything else. Yeah, like we watched Living to 100 last night, Karen and I. And it said like lessons from the blue zones. Dan, I forget the guy's last name. He's super cool. Anyway, we're watching the series on that. So that's pretty, I was super inspired watching it. And I'm not saying every time, oh yeah, and every time we're watching educational stuff, but people spend way too much time on TV. And I will say this to you as your peak performance coach. If you're into sports, I'm freaking into sports, right? I love it. Love watching sports, love playing sports, everything else. Make sure you're not watching other people get better while you're stuck. What does that mean? I don't watch the athletes I'm blessed to coach if it's outside of a normal window of time of when I'd be consuming media in the evening. I won't do it because I'm not going to marginalize how I show up for my clients, my beautiful wife, and my kids the next day because I want them to stay up and see the stats of some athlete. I'm not going to do it. You go, well, they're going to get mad. First off, I can't will them to be better. If I've served them correctly, they're just going to execute. I don't coach them based on outcomes. I coach them based on effort. I'm not interested in their exact stats. That all takes care of itself. I will not stay up late. Doesn't matter. I had a guy in the NBA finals. I had a guy playing the Super Bowl. Super Bowl, I did stay up because it wasn't super late here, but the NBA finals, I did not stay up late. Won't do it. So the TV is number 4. For time's sake, we won't go into, we've already covered those 3 or 4 months ago, but we got to know who our real competitors are. It's not other mortgage professionals. It's just not. That's so far down the list that, again, if you're worried about that, you get bigger concerns.
Hey, so can I ask a quick question before we launch off? So I know you coach a few NFL quarterbacks, and right, for them, this is the front of their season, right? Their goal is the Super Bowl. And, we have loan officers who have 4 months left in the year and they're all worried about their business. And you're coaching these people who have something bigger on the line. They're on a bigger stage. I shouldn't say necessarily bigger on the line, but they're on a bigger stage, that's for sure. And how's their mindset? And is the message any different for them than what you just gave us?
The message actually isn't different because the way I coach athletes is there's no off season. The greats don't have an off season. Like, for time's sake, I won't get into it, but like the Tom Brady's of the world, and I won't mention the quarterbacks, who I currently coach, they don't have an off season. Why? Because it's game time. If you're breathing, it's game time. That sounds serious. I know. If you want to be world class, you want to be your best self, then if you're breathing, it's game time. And the fees are due. Doesn't mean you're going to nail everything, but there's a certain mentality. And here's the beautiful thing. If you're all in, life is so much easier. because you remove all this, like, I don't know if I'm going to do it. I don't know if I'm going to have dessert tonight. I don't know if it's, am I going to have a second beer or whatever? It's like, if you know exactly how you operate, it's very systematized and structured. There's no back and forth with a negative voice. There is no banter. There's nothing to discuss. I'm all in. By the way, let me fool you like I eat salad and go to bed at 8 o'clock every night. I don't. But when you're all in, you're all in. And this is why I love coaching people. By the way, as leaders, as mortgage professionals, I believe you're all coaches. I'm not telling you to do a scoring system exactly like I'm doing, but my role as a coach is not to hang out. Like, I become friends with my clients, same thing with Dave and Todd, but I'm their peak performance coach. We're not hanging out. They have their friends before we start coaching. No, this is about specific tactical things in follow through in details of personal and professional excellence. And when you approach your team, you can't ride them to that level, but it's like they need guidance, they need accountability, they need a system, they need some trackers so that you can lead them in stepping into their personal and professional greatness.
So, Jonathan, amazing, great question, Todd. I want to thank everybody who has tuned in to today's show. Brendan Bracken, special shout out for all the great comments and inspiration in chat, in Zoom. Remember, everybody watching this, like it, share it with your friends, get this positive message out. Let's be the light, here in this community for not just the consumers that we serve, for the realtors that we serve, but for the mortgage industry as a whole. We can't have too many bright lights in today's mortgage industry. So be the positive voice. Todd, why don't you wrap it up and, tell us all how to win by noon today?
Well, Jonathan's already listened to more positive content than most of us have today. And the great news is you still have time. And so I would just take a look at your day today. I'm going to rewatch this. I hope you do too. I've got 2 pages of notes. It's been a while since I've taken 2 pages of notes on a call. And, as always, I'm super grateful for you, Jonathan, and for pouring into me. I'm super grateful when you come in and pour into the community. And the bottom line is I put it on here, right? If you're breathing, it's game time, right? There's no off season for pros. And listen, let's go get it. Let's put in the effort that Jonathan has encouraged us and knows we can put in.
Deb X, any closing thoughts?
Dominate your thoughts and dominate all things, Deion Sanders style. So if you're not following him, also follow Deion. He has great inspirational and kind of the same message of just dominate at everything you do.
Love that. Jonathan, if anyone wants to, connect with you online, wants to consider coaching with you, what are all the best places for people to follow you and connect with you?
peaklockin.com. You can click on coaching to learn about one-on-one coaching. I coach teams on a monthly Zoom call. I have 6 mortgage companies. I coach them. And then there's an online coaching offering as well. But they can go to peaklockin.com, and then also always Facebook and LinkedIn. You can reach out. If I can serve you in any way, reach out. I have plenty of extra energy. I have plenty of time to pour into you. If you're in a really tough spot, know that people have your back. We've all been there. Like, if you're really in a rough state, reach out. I'll literally call you today. I'm not kidding. And it won't be that you want to coach. Nope. It's called serve. How can I get you to shift your mindset? Because a lot of times, I'll just cover 30 more seconds, you guys. We focus on this when things are really challenging. Oh, this is really massive. Focus on this, right? You have your health, you have your amazing family, you have a roof over your head, you have food in the fridge. Doesn't mean this little thing that you're dealing with, which is pretty major. But you know what? If we can step out enough. So if you need anything, reach out to me. And thank you, all of you, for giving me the blessing, Dave, Todd, Deborah, to serve this community. Your industry is absolutely beautiful. Again, if you're going to quit, you're going to quit. You're going to make it right now. Just one foot in front of the other, and that banner will show up at some point.
Jonathan Roche, you the man, brother. Appreciate you. Take care, everybody. This is a wrap.